Yo, yo, yo. Where my listeners at? Tweet with me if you're my listener. Yo, yo, yo. This is a shout out to all the podcast haters. Don't podcast hate on me.
Go podcast hate somewhere else.
Yo, yo, yo. I'm a podcaster. I'm a straight up P. The podcast life is life for me. Recording once a week, releasing it online. Being a podcaster is hella fine. Yeah. Double shot of awesome. Represent DSOA.
Word.
Sean's back.
Hi, Sean.
Hi, guys. It's good to be back. I miss you all. I was going to do a rapid recap, but I agree with all you guys, so let's just pass by that anyway.
You don't want to be wrong?
I've got a good story, actually, and it just happened to me not about 2 hours ago. So I was at dinner with my family. It's my dad's birthday, and...
Happy birthday, Sean's dad.
Thanks, Warren. I'm telling me I said that. So I go outside of the place where we're eating, walk down the street a bit to go to my car, and probably about half a block in front of me, I just see someone kind of stumble over and fall. So I'm thinking, oh, okay, I didn't really think about it just because I had a little trip or something like that. I go over and this woman's laying on the ground, and she's in, I guess, pain. So of course, first thing I do is whip out the phone, call 911, got people gathering around. I tell them, person's here, get the address. And about 5 minutes later, not even 5 minutes, cop rolls up and he comes out and he goes, "Oh, hey, Shirley." Like buddy with this woman on the ground who's like all freaking out and like, "I'm never walking again." He's all happy. "Yeah, it's good talking to you, Shirley. I always miss talking to you. I never see you anymore." He's putting on his gloves and he goes over and he just starts helping her up. I'm like, "No, you don't touch her. Like, her neck could be injured or something like that." He's like, "Nah, she's just the regular drunk around here." So I'm sitting there like, oh, well, okay, whatever. Guy comes over to me and just starts saying, oh man, it was so funny, because she's just like standing there and says, "Oh man, I need a ride over to where the hospital is." She looks back, looks to the other side, and then just stumbles over. She wanted a free ride uptown, so she decided to fake her fall so she would get a ride to the hospital. And I fell for it.
Well, you're like a superhero.
No, I'm not. I was just too far away to see what actually happened.
But you had people gathering around?
Yeah, there were people just coming around being like, "Is everything okay?" Like, "Oh my god." So
it wasn't a bunch of people wanting to eat the person. I think I've been watching a little bit too much of The Walking Dead, because when you were telling that story, I was imagining like walkers surrounding the person that was fallen and wanting to rip her apart piece by piece.
Chris's first thought: she can't stand up. She's weighing us down. Let her die.
You might be watching a little bit too much Walking Dead. Just maybe. I'm not sure.
So how far in this is Walking Dead right now? Because I stopped watching around season 4.
I think it's on Netflix right now, up to season 4. And then after that, I think there's one more season as well. I'm not sure. We kind of just started it. We're in season 2. Well, pretty much the end of season 2. Yeah. We just started it. But there's only 6 episodes in season 1.
Season 1's amazing, though. It's a really, really good series if you just watch season 1. I found the season 2 kind of dipped down for a little while and had its moments.
Well, it's because the whole season was pretty well on the farm.
Yeah, and it took 7 episodes was 2 days. It was stupid. The time didn't make sense.
But the ending of season 2 was very exciting.
It hasn't ended for me yet.
I know, but you're near the ending, and you kind of mentioned it to us earlier, and that's quite exciting.
Yeah, I can't. Spoiler alert! I can't believe she was in the fucking barn, just right there.
When you texted
come on.
When you texted that, I had to think about who was in the barn again, and I was like, oh yeah, the reason why they're at the farm the whole time. Yeah, she's just been under your noses the whole time.
It just seemed like a really lazy plot device, to be honest.
I completely agree. It's
like, I don't know, it was sad. And as far as time frame goes, the worst series with a time frame gap like that is still How I Met Your Mother. Entire season happens within about 36 hours.
Yeah.
I hate when shows do that.
Oh, that was more than just aggravating. I didn't watch the last season of that show for that reason.
I just watched it again because it was background noise for the most part, and I got caught up in the last season, and I started realizing how bad it was, but there's 1 or 2 good episodes thrown in. It's always worth a watch. So speaking of somebody falling down and almost dying and all that fun stuff, Warren, or somebody, put in worst place to have a seizure. Oh. Where is the worst place to have a seizure?
Where do you guys think would be the worst place to have a seizure?
On a nail bed.
Ooh. Why are you on a nail bed?
I don't know. Why am I seizuring?
Because you don't.
While working with an electrical transformer.
Okay, so the first thing that came to my mind was in a pit of spikes, but that wasn't realistic. So the next most realistic thing was on a nail bed.
Okay, I respect your answer. You can change it still if you like.
Okay. I'll put a serious answer there for fun. Behind the wheel of a car.
Yeah, that would be pretty bad. Yes, hence why if you seizure, generally you lose your license. Recently, a man was learning how to skydive, and he recently, I guess, graduated to being able to do solo jumps, but with an instructor with him, so it wasn't strapped into anyone. So his instructor's jumping with him, has the GoPro and everything like that. Student ends up seizuring in free fall. Whoa!
Holy
and you can
fuck.
see him, he's totally seizuring. Whoa! Right? And so his instructor, good thing he was there, is able to kind of maneuver himself and propel himself towards his student. On the first pass, he misses the student.
Oh fuck!
Oh, you're like, oh, you're like, ah. And then because the GoPros, you're seeing all of this first person, and then he does another pass and actually manages to grab a hold of the student, pulls his ripcord, and saves his life pretty well. Pretty cool stuff. That was pretty awesome, I thought. And then he pulls his own ripcord and...
It's an exciting video to watch. It's just scary because you can see the kid kind of flip over onto his back in midair, and you can tell he's seizing.
Have either of you guys actually like jumped out of a plane? Like,
no,
would
but
you?
that's on my bucket list.
Absolutely.
I'm 100% doing that.
When I was down in Florida, there's a little place just outside of Orlando called Kissimmee, and they had a 300-foot free fall on this little thing. It's like a swing set up, and you just drop down and swing.
Oh yeah,
That's as close as I ever come to it. I'd love to go skydiving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely recommend it. It's totally fucking awesome. I jumped from, I don't even know, I think it was like 15,000 or 25,000 feet. Tandem, because I don't have any, I didn't do anything. And when, you know how there's those questions, those theoretical questions, kind of like, where's the worst place to have a seizure? But a little bit more meaningful, like, at what point in your life could you walk away and you could say, I've accomplished everything and I'm fine if I were to die or bite the bullet right now, right? You know how, like, that kind of question? Anyway,
like
I had to make
list.
that peace with myself, because if something like that happened, like seizuring,
I
that would
see.
be so...
Because skydiving's so high risk.
It's such high risk. Yeah, I had to make peace before I did it.
I don't know if it'd be considered high risk though. Maybe I don't know the stats well enough. But
there's probably a lot of safety mechanisms.
Oh, totally.
Yeah,
actually, I learned that there is a reserve chute rather, that is triggered by pressure. So as soon as I believe you hit 1,800 feet, it launches a reserve chute. And so if the instructor wasn't able to save the student, his reserve chute would have launched. But there are times when things fail, right?
There's a lot of people on Reddit especially that had a huge uproar about it. One kid posted a comment or there's a picture of the guy or the instructor that pulled the chute for this kid. And they're like, this guy's a hero, like, just recognize him, this is the picture of him, thank you for saving this kid's life, it was really heroic. And the first comment that I saw in there was, well, it would have gone off anyway if he hit this atmospheric pressure, so the kid was never really in danger. Fuck you, that guy just flew down at God knows how fast speed, trying to pull the kid's chute to make sure he'd live. You don't make a stupid comment like that.
Yeah. And then you also have to think about what if because I'm pretty sure he regained consciousness before landing, but if you don't regain consciousness when you land, that would still hurt a whole heck of a lot.
Yeah, you come down really hard.
You'd break a couple bones.
I'd imagine. I mean, it's better than dying, but and also you could be totally way off from the landing site as well. But I mean, still, it's just something to think about. And I guess you never really know. You do need to make peace, I guess, before jumping.
Oh, that was a super fun experience. I think I only paid like $100 for it. Too.
Wow,
$100
in Vegas. It went in Vegas.
Really?
Yeah. So
here it's 300 something.
Oh no, we looked into it. It was 500 to go jump, tandem, one jump.
I might do it. I just bought hockey skates that were more than that. So
you gonna play some hockey?
Yeah,
some ice hockey.
Warren, your computer chair is almost as much as that.
That's a good point. Yeah,
you're just spending money left and right.
I have 2 jobs.
That's true.
Mr. Moneybags over here, the gangster.
No. I'm gonna buy a car maybe.
Maybe buy a car. Cars are interesting. They're money pits.
So
But they're
this
so
week,
useful.
guys, I mean, we're all fans of Pokemon. And earlier this week was the 1-year anniversary for Twitch Plays Pokemon.
Oh,
Oh,
and it
God.
was... Wait, was it this week or was it last week, which is...
Bloody Sunday?
It was last week, which was, the 1-year anniversary of Wonder Trade Wednesday.
Oh.
Which is also awesome. But Twitch Plays Pokemon.
Have you ever heard of it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it's been a 1-year anniversary, and if you're not familiar with it, Twitch is just a live streaming video game service, and so you can go and record yourself live playing a video game and have an audience that watches you. Well, Twitch set up I guess a broadcast that users can comment the button that they want the game to actually register. So if they typed up, it would go up. If they typed A, it would press A, kind of thing. And so they played Pokemon collectively as a public audience.
Well, the biggest thing there too is that they had 2 different systems set up where you could have it that anyone who types anything would be the next command to go in, and you could, type in this word of, I think it was like freedom or whatever it was. Or then you could have a voted system where every couple of seconds it would take the most commonly used word or button press and then do that. So you could also vote for those directions.
Interesting.
But did you guys watch that stream at all? Or-
I watched- I
would
went
jump
into
in
the
every now
stream.
and then.
I went into it as well. It was very frustrating for me because I would want it to do something, and it was just terrible. Oh, I should throw money in some sort of jar right now. It was just frustrating. It was an extremely frustrating experience.
Well, I can only imagine what Bloody Sunday would have been like. Bloody Sunday, if you're not familiar, is where they released, I think, 13 Pokemon total. They released them from their PC bank, including their starter.
Well, did they get rid of Zapdos? They caught Zapdos.
They caught. There was a bunch of different kind of achievements that they had, but also one of the big ones was they killed it was like a level 64 Nidoking with a level 62 something else. I can't quite remember, but it was just completely odd stacked against them, and they somehow killed the way higher level Pokemon. But it's such an interesting adventure, and it was so interactive. It was very neat, and I was thinking, I mean, are there any other games out there that you think could pull off something like that? Something that where a community can get behind and go and beat?
That's kind of a tough one because it depends on the platform and how they make it.
Well, I mean, whatever.
Right.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Just I'm asking you any game.
Well,
Don't get hippity hoppity with the technicalities here.
I was just saying more like RPGs would be the best bet. 'Cause
Oh,
you
yeah.
can't play something
Yeah.
like
You're not gonna play
absolutely.
Dark Souls.
you
What's-
can play like Mega Man or anything like that. That's impossible to do.
Is
that.
Final Fantasy an RPG?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So maybe like a Final Fantasy game.
It'd have to be one of the older ones, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
Obviously,
something-
we're talking about Twitch Play Pokemon. That game
Yeah,
is like 20 years
2D,
old. so-
2D style. You can't have an 8-way directional kind of game like Final Fantasy 12.
And they couldn't do anything like Mario because it's kind of Twitch reactions on there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I think
exactly.
Final Fantasy would be pretty cool. I don't think it would be as exciting as Pokemon,
No.
just because Pokemon there's so many different.
You can fuck yourself up really easy by releasing all of your shit.
Yeah, whereas Final Fantasy, you die and you start over from the last save point, I guess.
I've never actually played any Final Fantasy games. That's why it was like a shot in the dark for me.
Oh yeah,
But,
no, good. Solid games.
There's some
very
good
solid
games out there. They're on Android now. Square Enix released most of the one of the more popular ones on Android.
Mm-hmm. They're like $16 though. It's a fairly large amount.
Still, it's a full retail game.
It's true.
Considering you're paying $70 right now for a decent video game, it's actually worth it to pay that.
Is that segueing into your next topic?
I wasn't actually trying, but I was going to try and lead there in the end. But yeah, sure, we'll go there. Steam had a bunch of announcements the past little while. So the biggest one,
Would you say that they were
releasing some Steam.
like a boat full of announcements? I was struggling to find a pun there. I'm sorry.
You guys give it up with the boat
Yeah.
puns.
Yeah.
So Steam had a bunch of announcements. The biggest one being the virtual reality. I don't know if you guys have looked into that at all.
I'm kind of interested in it just because I'm a fan of Sword Art Online.
What's a
video game.
sword?
SWORD. You know, one of those
Sword
things you
Art.
swing around. You can kill zombies with
Sword
them.
Art Online.
Sword Art Online.
You guys don't like the SWAT out online?
Come on, guys.
Anyway, so they talked about virtual reality.
So I guess it was kind of like hinted that they're going to be producing a lot of games in there, but they started announcing things like Lighthouse. It's a program that would help developers convert their current games to virtual reality. So it's less work on these developers, which is huge. That means we're going to get more VR games in the near future. The biggest thing was that during these VR demos, people started noticing that there was a lot of appearances from GLaDOS from Portal. Which, Portal 2 came out.
That would be cool in virtual reality.
I would just puke every 5 seconds. Have you guys ever played Portal?
Yeah, I played and beat it.
Oh my
That was
goodness.
one of the
Imagine
only
going through the
games I
portals
thoroughly
like that.
enjoyed on the
Imagine just sending
PlayStation.
yourself through a loop in virtual reality.
You just look down, see your head, and just start puking. That's it.
Grab a bucket, have a puke fest. Yeah, that sounds like
That'd be
fun.
fun.
No, it wouldn't.
So I guess people are thinking that because there's all these big announcements coming out, that it looks like Half-Life 3 might actually be coming out soon, which is a big, big deal.
For people who care about video games.
Well, in general, it is a big deal. The original Half-Life when it came out.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Just
In
sitting here shaking your
actuality,
head, no.
It's a big deal. Like, I think it's a big deal to people who care about video games. I have to take a stance there. I don't think that the Prime Minister or the President of the free nations of this country will care whether or not Half-Life 4
you
or
don't know.
3 or whichever is released. I'm pretty sure they're more concerned
The
about the
Duke
shit
of
that's
Edinburgh
going on
loves his
elsewhere.
video games. No, because
Okay, so it's a big deal. Sorry.
when Half-Life originally came out, they had to have a program to release it, which was Steam. And Steam kind of changed the way a lot of people saw, well, not only video games, but just distribution of media. So iTunes probably wouldn't be as big as it is today if it wasn't for Steam originally coming out.
No, I think iTunes would be just as big as it is today because of iPods.
I also
and
have to agree with Warren on this
phones and iPads. It's a terrible program, but you need it.
Yeah. So regardless, Half-Life did come out, and the big pull on that one was that there was no major cuts in the game, like no fadeaways or anything. You would just play, the game would load, and you would keep playing on the exact same frame that you left off on, which no other game had done at the time. Then Half-Life 2 comes out, and it had a physics engine like nothing else had ever done, and that paved the way for a lot of other games that we have today. So now we have virtual reality, which is a big, big deal. So
We have it right now, or we almost have it. I consider that we almost have it. I don't think that we have it because it's a not easily accessible consumer product yet.
You're right. I mean, the Oculus is still pretty much garbage. But now we're seeing more and more of it, so it's becoming a more standardized product. So we're thinking what Steam will do is when they release all their Steam OS updates and get a lot more consoles out there, then we'll probably start seeing more virtual reality.
That'd be cool.
That's
Kind of.
that's the rumors going around right now.
I'd like to try it. I have not tried virtual reality yet, other than when you're a kid playing around with the, stuff at museums and things like that. In a video game sense, I think it'd be neat to try. I don't know how great the application would be.
I feel like there will still be a disconnect, a severe disconnect between the physical and the digital, which is really where ideal virtual reality goes. It's not just immersing yourself into the world. It's like feeling as if you are part of it. So breaking that barrier, I think, might be a little bit more difficult than you might think otherwise. I don't know. Also, I really think that until the president and prime ministers of the free nations are playing these things in their spare time, then it won't really
So
matter.
what you're saying
Have
is
you been
Pokemon
watching-
isn't important, and
Have you been watching Game of Thrones or something? Free Nations?
Free nations, yeah, sure. I'm just excited for Game of Thrones to come out. It's like, what, 2 more months? Maybe? It's got to be coming around the corner, right?
April, I believe. Yeah, I believe it's coming out in April. I'm pumped for it. Definitely pumped. But yeah, so this week, another little bit of news. Someone snapped a nice picture of Putin riding a weasel,
What?
riding a woodpecker. Okay, no, that was the result of something else. But he actually
Photoshop?
Photoshop was involved, but the actual first photo was a weasel riding a woodpecker. Someone took a picture of it. How cool is that?
that picture, I didn't believe it at first, and I had to have a lot of people show me that it was true.
What,
I
Putin
still
on the
don't
weasel
actually
on the woodpecker?
Yeah, I thought Putin had shrunk down. It was weird.
But no, so the picture, the way the story goes is that a man and his wife are just walking down a nature trail, I suppose, and they heard some squawking as if something was in danger. And so he kind of pulled his camera out and saw this woodpecker fly by, snap a picture of it, and there's a weasel riding the back of the woodpecker. It seems like the weasel kind of attacked the woodpecker, and the woodpecker was just flying away. That's it there. And if you look really closely at the woodpecker, it looks like it's very scared. If you zoom in on its eyes, it's like, whoa, adrenaline kind of thing.
I've never seen a green woodpecker before, but that's
maybe
crazy.
It wasn't a woodpecker. I don't know.
I can imagine it would be having a hard time flying because normally they don't carry shit on their back like that. That's yeah. That eye is pretty crazy.
Although
I
that
like
is, I think, an actinate beak. I'm not an ornithologist or anything like that, but that could be a woodpecker. But yeah, I thought that was neat, and so I always find it funny that people, just the internet, would go and Photoshop a bunch of things. Like there was also Miley Cyrus riding the weasel, riding the woodpecker, different things like that. You know, it's always a good time. The internet is a funny place. Cruel but stern.
Do you ever go and see some of those pictures of like one kid will take a picture of something and it'd be like, can you Photoshop the moon in my fingers? And then people will just start messing around with the picture to screw with them.
See what else they can put in their fingers aside from the moon?
Well, sometimes they'll actually move the fingers and bend them and break them down to fit where the other part of the moon was. Or they'll like put a picture of a naked ass on there instead of having the moon.
I get it. That's funny.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Oh, internet humor.
But you know what? I'm tired of being wrong. So let's talk about something that I know where I'm right. Follow us at Twitter at Two Shot of Awesome and our website at doubleshotofawesome.com. That's doubleshotofawesome.com and on Twitter at Two Shot of Awesome. Tweet at us. Let us know if you liked it or hate it or what your comments or feelings are about it, and we'll talk about it.
You're so rigid.
I am. Well, thank you.
Like chiseled.
I'll take chiseled.
No, I don't think he's chiseled.
No, it's chiseled, right? We heard it right here.
I think he's rigid.
Chiseled is the correct answer.
Oh, man.
Yeah, thanks.
So let's talk about words that you hate.
Marlboro.
Marlboro. Well, you hate that word.
I can't say that word. I have very high difficulty saying that word.
Do you hate it because you can't say it?
Yes.
Or do you just hate the way it sounds, or both?
Both.
Both?
I feel like there's no need for the word itself. I feel like you could make up some other word with better consonant usage aside from Marlboro.
Marlboro. How about you guys?
I don't know. It's hit and miss with every word with me, so I hate all words.
That's great. Thank you for the contribution, Sean. That's really insightful.
You couldn't have said something like Hyundai or
Hyundai.
I don't
like
hate
Sunday.
That. You know what is one? I hate when people take a word like Asus.
Asus.
It's Asus.
It's not Asus. It's the company name.
We looked it up.
There has been like a Super Bowl commercial. Size of commercial.
The company doesn't have to follow
Asus.
the naming regime of the actual word. They can call it whatever they want.
And they called it Asus.
No, it's Asus.
It's like Azus.
A-S-U-S.
But it's
Asus.
No, you're wrong.
Or it's like, Chris, what's your tablet called that you have when you draw?
I have a Wacom tablet.
It's
or a Wacom.
Wacom tablet.
Okay.
See, that's another thing. It's mispronunciation of normal words, which I'm terrible at.
Like Pokemon? Is that why you don't like to play Pokemon? Because all their names are all kinds of fucked?
I don't even try with Pokemon names. I just give up and say whatever I think it sounds like.
That's why you should nickname them. Like Bob and Billy and Jolene.
Yeah, but then I'm gonna be like, hey, can I trade your Pikachu for a Bob? You're like, what, Sean? What?
Well, I got this thing.
I named my Dunsparce Greg.
Yeah, Greg. Greg's totally a Pokemon.
And Greg is a great Pokemon too. Super offensive Dunsparce. Great. Thanks for asking, guys. The words that I hate are fistula.
Hey, Warren.
I think that's an awful word.
What words do you hate?
Oh, you're only a little bit late to the
Hey,
party.
Warren,
Thanks for showing up.
How about this, Warren? We haven't heard your opinion yet. So, what is your favorite or least favorite word to hate? Your
Favorite word to hate, I think, would be, and pardon my French, but cunt. I hate that word. It is so ugly and harsh and hard. It's just not a pleasant word whatsoever. And then, but yeah, that brought it up. And I also don't like fistula. I think that's a really ugly word as well. But
I don't even know what that
give us
word is.
an example of this word?
Fistula, it is a connection between usually something like an intestine or something like that that's unwanted
Fistula.
within the body. It's a medical term.
Fistula.
That is correct, fistula.
Why do you hate it?
It just sounds ugly. Fistula.
Is it
Fistula.
like the thing where most people hate the word moist?
Yeah, a lot of people hate the word moist.
I don't
So
understand.
if I say moist cunt right now, I bet you a bunch of listeners just shuddered.
And our viewer count just dropped down
I'm
from 30
so
people.
sorry. See, this is why I was refraining myself from asking Warren what his least favorite words were.
See, that's the big thing too. Like over here in North America, the word cunt is considered a horrible word.
Yeah, you didn't have to say it. You could have just said the C word.
But if you go overseas, it's just a normal term, they say.
Oh, really?
Well, that's because it means a piece of meat with a hole in it.
It's just terminology.
That's the definition, and so it's super offensive also when you use it. But yeah, anyway, I hate that word. Curdle's also another kind of weird word for
Curdle?
me too. Curdle.
It sounds kind of cute.
It's like turtle. Curdle.
Like when cheese.
Are you going to be-
turtle?
Sorry, when milk curdles.
I don't know. I mean, it just makes me go like, ugh.
Are you going to be the master of disguise?
No, I'm not turtley enough for the turtle club, or curdly enough for the curdle club.
I like curds and whey. I like cottage cheese. Maybe that's why I like curdles.
I
Curdly
like cheese curd.
Cheese curds.
Cheese curds
Curds.
on poutine.
Poutine.
I guess that's another one. Whenever words are pronounced different in certain regions, like
So a dialect.
yeah, I guess it gets annoying to me when
Like
there's
petrol. No.
Or quit.
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 Quite.
No, quit. Like the finance.
Quit.
Like the British. Or
Quid.
quid.
Quid, whatever.
Quiz.
See, a
Anyway.
quid.
Yeah.
We should stop trying to be worldly. We're not very successful at it.
Especially to places we haven't been before.
So I had a question for you guys. You know how there's all these famous artists from like generations and generations ago? We have Shakespeare, Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci. Do you think we have any artists that are going to stand the test of time that are living right now?
What do you mean by the test of
I know
time?
this one artist guy. He does really good work.
Does he art well?
Was his name Andy Warhol?
No, that's not who I was thinking, but yeah, that guy works.
I think if sorry, I just saw a funny picture. I'll share it with you guys. It's actually a picture of a guy holding a Kentucky Fried Chicken bucket, and then he's dumping out a Torchic. So it's Pokemon humor. It's kind of funny.
So you think Andy Warhol's going to stand the test of time?
He's not alive, like he's not living.
That's our generation, though. Around our time.
I could argue Robert Bateman because he's a hyper-realist artist and there aren't many like him around anymore.
'Cause I was thinking, I was watching a lot of the internet on Banksy or...
Yeah, Banksy is a conceptual artist as far as I'm concerned. It's more conceptual rather than practical.
I don't think it's going to stand the test of time, but I really wish it would because it's such an outcry compared to most other artists you see today.
But at the same time, he's doing things that you can't, like the average person cannot keep. And that's the hard part about art. I mean, there has to be meaning behind it, but there also has to be tangibility for somebody to be able to grasp and to be able to have that conversation about the subject matter that the artwork is about, right?
So I think that's what makes it so unique. Like there's a big, we'll call it a kerfuffle that's going on in Gaza right now, where there's people that can't leave the city or anything like that. So what does he do? He goes into this one spot, finds a big open wall, and draws a picture of a cat there. And one guy that's there says, "Hey, why is he drawing a picture of a cat?" And then he said, "Well, people on the internet only look at pictures of cats, and we want to make sure they see this." So it's something like that.
Yeah. I guess that's kind of cool. I do respect Banksy. I respect the work that he does because he's literally pushing art forward from this generation, and we're in a very interesting time period right now where art is being torn between what I was just talking about and what he's talking about, and how to gain that viewership in a place where everybody is overstimulated to begin with. So that's not an easy question to ask at all.
No, but that's why I think it's kind of interesting because it also shows how people see art. Like I wouldn't think Andy Warhol's actually going to stand the test of time. He drew a soup can. That's as far as I saw.
Okay. Yes, he did do that, but he also did Marilyn Monroe and a bunch of other famous artists, and he pushed the conceptual barrier of what is, intellectual property. Yeah. So I disagree with you 100%.
Okay.
And Andy Warhol is definitely going to remain in the history books, just as much as Marcel Duchamp, who, and by history books I mean like art history books, not just like, oh, I did this whole big architecture thing and now will be forever remembered in Italy, like Michelangelo. I'm not as fond as Michelangelo, that's all.
Okay, I just want to see how you define.
But he's also pretty cool because, fun fact, not sure if you knew, but when they were measuring the scale of his ability, this is like an old wives' tale or like an old legend, urban legend kind of thing. But when somebody was like, "How good of an artist are you, Michelangelo? How good are you?" And he's like, "Watch how good I am." And he draws a circle, and it's a perfect circle. Do you know how difficult a perfect circle
There's a competition they have for drawing perfect circles.
And that's what he did to show how good of an artist that he was. And the other thing that he did is he drew a perfectly straight line.
Wow.
That's hard to do.
Yeah.
I was
two of the most difficult things to do in the entire draw, and by do I mean draw, in the entire world, and that's what the urban legend says how good Michelangelo's. But Michelangelo is on a different level. He's on like a fucking bi-century level. Like, you're gonna remember him by the century. You're not gonna remember him by the small insignificant piece of time that we are living in right now.
That's sort of the idea. Like, well, we have Shakespeare from here on out. Like, all generations, maybe 100 or 1,000 years from now, are they going to be learning about Shakespeare, or do you think they're going to be learning about something else that'll happen between now and then? Because it is an open question.
It depends on the future of the world that we exist, Sean, that we exist in. Because Shakespeare, like, that's too no. I don't think Shakespeare is too different because it's well known, it's well understood, and it's well structured for the society that we live in right now, right? So 1,000 years from now, our society could be extremely different.
Even 100 years from now, it could be different on that level.
100 years, I can see that Shakespeare will still be studied.
Okay.
Yes, I would argue yes, because that is within our grandchildren's lifetime, and I can see them still studying it. Even if it's nothing for historical context, it will still be studied. There are different types of literature that are studied in schools that will stand the test of time, but be replaced as more modern versions can replace these things. Because one of the best ways to get a younger audience is to be able to make that connection with them, with the current world. So like Hunger Games, that book was released within 6 years ago, and it is being taught in schools right now because it deals with a lot of things that can be dealt with in schools. Kids find it interesting, right? So I don't know. I'm not saying that Susan Collins is going to be around for the next 40, 80, 100 years like we said with Shakespeare, but I'm saying that it's a book that is an example of what will replace other forms
just
of
because
literature.
it's kind of culture based at this point. It fits what we need, so we're going to throw it in there.
Yes.
Yeah. That makes sense. I just want to see if there's any other artists that are out there that you think would fill that slot for like this generation. Who's our artists that we're going to talk about for years to come? We don't really have one, I guess.
There's tons of people that can and that may, but we won't know. My point is, we won't know until we're gone who was influential to the people of the future, because the people of the future are inspired by the people of the past. So we cannot actually call out and say who will be inspirational. It could be somebody that is just going to university right now and doing their education.
It could be Warren.
It could be Warren.
It's probably Warren.
Well, I do know this young up-and-coming rapper.
Oh, he's that straight up
rapping about the podcast life. How real it is. I think that guy's gonna probably be up there for the test of time. So speaking of the test of time, let's talk about death.
Oh,
dun, dun, dun.
Dun dun dun. So there's a new project that's coming out called the Urban Death Project, and it's pretty neat. Rather than cremation or burial in a casket, fun things like that, the Urban Death Project is a new alternative form of ceremonial death where you build large, essentially cylindrical towers with a winding staircase around the outside. And you can have a procession along the staircase and bringing up the corpse. And then essentially what you're doing is you're dropping it into the big tube that is kind of sectioned into 6 slices like a pizza. And you fill bodies with layers and layers, feet worth of layers of wood chips and other organic matter like straw, things like that. And essentially what happens is the bodies will decompose on their own, and it kind of turn to like a hummus at the end, and you can kind of extract that hummus if you want. And so what it does is it's freeing up a lot of different resources and a lot of different space as well, to essentially cremate or however you want to decompose the corpse. And then when you come and collect the remains after a certain amount of time, you can not only get a part of your loved one, but you also get a part of their neighbors, so the people that are spending time with the person that your loved one, kind of thing. So it's an interesting concept where you're not only getting a part of your loved one, but you're also getting a part of now their circle of...
See, that sounds a lot better than traditional methods we have right now, like cremation and burial and all that kind of stuff. Honestly, it wastes space.
Do you think cremation wastes space?
No, cremation is actually a good form of it, but I think graveyards in general...
burial.
Yeah, any sort of burial. It does waste a lot of space that could be used for other things.
Like more important things, like a mall?
Like housing.
Okay, maybe housing, but...
Well, burial takes up a lot of space because if you put it in a casket, the casket decomposes over time, and then the ground shifts because it's got to fill the void of space. Same thing if you're going to put a concrete slab in, and you need to do that, and that takes up a lot of resources. So burial itself takes up a lot of space, yes, and so do graveyards, really.
And even then, wasn't it that burial wasn't a big thing to basically put your loved one on display? That wasn't a big thing until the early 1900s.
Oh, I don't know when it was a thing, or when it was a thing. I completely agree with cremation, because it does not take up a lot of space, and then you can choose how to dole out all of your family member if you want to.
See, spreading the ashes, I like that idea.
Yeah.
But I don't like burying the ashes. I think
really?
that's... Yeah, I have family members that were cremated. I have nothing against it. It's something I don't think I would want to have done.
What if instead of putting a tombstone, you buried the ashes or put the ashes in the ground and planted a tree?
I would 100% agree with that one. Yeah.
So burying the ashes in that example would be fine, because the ashes themselves would serve as a source of nutrients for that new life, that new growth that is the tree.
Yeah, like you see out in the yard, there's a big tree up there. That's Grandpa.
Yeah. Grandpa helped build that tree.
Yeah. It's a little bit better than just saying okay, here's a little plot of land that, this is where the ashes are of my grandfather. This is where he is now. It's better to just kind of have him, around but not in one spot. It was a little weird, but I don't know. Warren?
I mean, I think cremation makes the most sense, but I figured that this project, it's really, really interesting because it's new and it's a very interesting concept. I mean, I'm a big proponent of decomposition. I think that's a environmentally friendly way of doing things. So it's an interesting discussion. But as of now, until something like that gets implemented and tested, I think cremation is the best bet, just because burial does take up so much space. There's a lot of cons to it.
Also,
but it's very ritualistic as well, so I can appreciate that.
Also, just to make sure, when you're cremated and you cremate your loved ones, they don't come back to bite you as zombies, guys. Come on now. Come on.
See, we're solving so many problems by just cremating people and spreading the ashes out. Don't have to worry about zombies. Land looks a little bit nicer. More room for malls.
More room for malls.
Which everybody knows are zombie shelters.
That's true.
Yeah.
You need at least one sports store and then a place for food.
Yeah, pretty much, because the zombies know that their prey will come to them eventually if they just stay in the mall.
No. You blockade the mall, and the zombies can't get you there.
You ever seen... Well, I don't know how many zombie movies happen there.
Dawn of the Dead?
Yeah,
Dawn of the Dead's the big one.
Is that the one where they're golfing and hitting zombies in the head with golf balls on the roof?
I think that's Shaun of the Dead.
Oh, no, that's not Shaun of the Dead.
No?
I think that is Dawn of the Dead, isn't it?
I don't know. I haven't watched it in a while. Where would you guys go in a zombie apocalypse?
To my camp.
Is it safe there?
Yeah,
Care to
100%.
describe it at all?
Yeah, I'm going to give you the location of my safe house.
I've been there.
Yeah, exactly. No, basically it's in the Canadian North. It's on a lake, so there's access to fresh water. I know that the water and the land around it would have enough sustenance. I know that it's close enough to do runs in, potentially, to get supplies if necessary.
Yeah, but what happens when gasoline runs out?
Oh, that's fine. That's what wood's for.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can't do runs into town anymore.
There's somebody down the road's got a big gas tank. I mean, how much gas are we going to really need?
A lot. Over 5 years.
A very large amount.
5 years?
Let's say you last for 5 years. So what happens?
Wait,
you going to have enough gasoline?
We do live in Canada,
We
so
do a run.
would a cold snap kill the zombies? Do you think?
See, and that's the other thing. That's my constant theory.
That's the point of what a zombie is. It's something that just keeps going.
Okay, so hold on there. If everything is frozen, how can it move to keep going? I think of zombies like this. In the cold, their system shuts down, right? So they freeze up and then they can't move. But in the spring, when the thaw comes, just like insects, you know how they come back to life, like the flies that are sitting on your windowsill because they've fallen asleep and gone into an extended hibernation. The zombies, just like the flies, come back to life to find their new source of food. But that would be in the spring. And luckily in Canada, winter's like 8 months of the year. So I feel like we'd be pretty safe.
Just walk around.
Let's
with
just
an
assume
axe.
that doesn't happen. Let's assume that the zombies aren't like insects and still move around and don't freeze in the winter. It's no fun to discuss the biology of what a zombie is because clearly it doesn't make sense.
Okay, I got this. All you do is you get a flat piece of land, put a house right in the dead center of it, and then make like a good solid maybe 20 feet ring around the entire place where you
Like
can
a
walk
moat?
around. Kind of like a moat. And then you freeze everything out from beyond that. That way the zombies are coming up, they're just slipping and sliding and can't get across to you. There you go.
Why don't we have some watchtowers?
Why don't they crawl then?
Oh, they probably
What
could.
happens with a crawler? Then,
Probably hear them falling over.
yeah, and then what happens when they get to your moat?
Well, by then I'd have like an axe or a shovel or something. And
You're gonna do this while thousands of zombies are surrounding your home on a very flat piece of
Thousands?
land.
Okay, we don't live near that many
These guys are
zombies.
terrible zombie survivors.
I think we've survived so far, Chris.
I would be surviving. I would be able to survive. I have swords somewhere. I'd get some sharp objects.
Yeah, but where would you get your food during the winter?
From what I hunt and catch during the summer and fall, and then in the winter, I mean, there's ice fishing and potatoes.
Do you think you can survive off of that?
I think so. Yeah,
Be like an Alaskan Men kind of
pretty much.
that TV show.
Yeah, that's essentially what it'd be.
Okay,
Living in the wild north.
interesting. See, I think I'd stick to the city centers,
Really, eh?
but like a rural city center,
So
so that they're well stocked, but open enough that and not populated enough that they're huge hordes, right? I think you'd have to essentially find yourself a safe place that you can have shelter in and that has escape routes just in case. But also, I think moving around in the city for looting is probably maybe my best scenario. Just because, I mean,
There's two completely different views on this whole subject.
I say get the fuck out of civilization.
I guess it
Space
depends
camp.
on what kind of zombies we're dealing with. Like if they're Walking Dead zombies, yeah, I can totally glen it up and sneak around and do things. But if they're World War Z zombies that are running after you, and yeah, I'm just gonna inject myself with some sort of really bad disease. Thank you very much. Bye.
Yeah.
think
No, I wouldn't do that.
There's
but,
a solid tipping point with a zombie apocalypse too. If you can last within the first probably couple days, you'll be fine past that for the most part. Yes, there's risks involved, but if you can deal with the fact that there's people that have now died who are coming back to attack you, and you live through that, you'll be okay.
Okay, what's your weapon of choice now?
Crowbar.
Sword.
I think I'd do crowbar as well.
You think so?
As
Try to get
so-
into the.
No, it's not about killing
it's
them.
not about necessary. You can use it as a weapon if necessary, but you can also use it as a tool.
Pry things open.
You didn't ask me what my favorite tool was gonna be.
Doesn't
Hey
it's a
man, it could be
weapon
used as a
tool.
weapon.
Hey, at my.
Are you gonna carry around a sword all the time, or are you gonna carry around a crowbar all the time? Can't have both.
I mean, in
Why
reality-
can't I? I got a big belt.
Okay,
Because
sure,
they have
carry
one
both
item
around,
slot.
but I'm asking you which one, not which two items do you want?
I want a grenade.
A grenade. You sure you don't
Go
want
with a boom.
to? You don't want to, have a tank or something either.
No, the zombies attack. Chris is gonna be like, I don't want to deal with this. He'll pop the grenade and just hold on to it till it blows, so he doesn't have to put up with all this crap.
No,
Really,
Chris
yeah,
would be the
fine.
type of guy who would pull the pin and then give the finger to all of them as it's ticking down. That's what Chris would do for
Yeah.
sure.
I don't know. I was just being a smartass by saying a grenade. I wasn't being serious. But no, honestly, I think I would take a sword, 100%.
I mean, even a hatchet, I think would be useful. Like one
Yeah.
of those survival kind of hatchets.
With a crowbar on the back and like
Yeah,
a hammer on
exactly.
the other side, and
And then
then
hatchet.
hatchet, and then like a pick for ice on the
Yeah.
bottom.
Yeah.
That's the
something
tool.
like that.
The zombie tool. The zombie
the
apocalypse
The
tool.
zombie apocalypse.
I still think an
tool.
axe would be one.
For sale on our website. Not actually for sale, but
The Swiss Army zombie tool.
yeah.
That'd be pretty good. That would actually sell well because people are still freaking out about zombies. There's a couple of states that actually have zombie plans in case something happens. The government is ready for a zombie attack.
Well,
In those states.
yeah, I don't know. It's just a neat concept to think about. I remember when I was living with an old roommate, we would always discuss, what our plan was and things like that, just for fun. I mean, it's an interesting conversation. So it's interesting to hear your guys' thoughts. So Sean's gonna find a nice piece of flat land, dig a moat somehow without being found at any
I'm
time.
not digging them out. I'm just icing
Freeze.
down everything.
Freeze everything around him and keep it frozen, and then walk out and shovel a zombie anytime it gets a little bit too close.
Dead on.
Makes sense. Chris is going to be the lone survivor, drifter kind of style. Go out to his cottage, because it's not a camp, and survive off of the land. And then I'm going to be
sneaky in the urban cities.
Yeah, I'll learn parkour, things like that. So, on a related note, totally related to zombies, what Pokemon would you guys want to have? If you were to have one Pokemon in reality, what would you want and why?
I would want a Scizor.
Why?
Because it's a steel type, so it prevents, like, it can help me against zombies because it's steel typed, and zombies can't bite into it.
Like how we're still on zombies.
So wait, this is a
Wait,
Pokemon
wait.
for a zombie attack?
That's
no,
what
no,
I was
no.
trying to
Just
figure-
in general life. I was being totally sarcastic about it being related.
Okay, so, sorry. If that's the case, then I'd probably take a Dragonite. A Dragonite would be very cool. And I know that it will eventually Mega Evolve, so I'm gonna stick with my Dragonite. It's flying type, it's dragon type, it can fly me places, it's a dragon type.
I
Okay.
was gonna say Charizard.
No, Dragonite.
And
It can breathe fire and shoot thunder and surf and do everything.
Hyper beam.
Hyper beams
Warren's
and
gonna go
strength
Venusaur.
and cut.
No, Venusaur wouldn't be useful. It's too big. Come on.
Dunsparce.
Who'd you want?
I haven't really figured that out.
Chingaling.
Ching-a-ling, ring-ding-ling.
Klefki?
Klefki.
You can get an Eddie Walk.
No, I think I would take something smaller than what a Dragonite is, but still something that can fly around like a Pidgeot. But I don't think Pidgeot is useful enough, really. So I really think of all the practical side. So it's kind of difficult for me to make that decision. I haven't really thought of somebody that I like. Dragonite did come up, Dragonite makes sense. So I think at first Dragonite would be probably the one. Charizard maybe, but I don't like how Charizard doesn't really have hands. Machamp, because he can just pick things up, and I can start up a moving company with him, and that'd be a great business venture. I don't know.
Alright.
Different options.
There are, I would definitely have my team picked out, pretty much.
No, you can only have one.
But that's the the problem, right? Pokemon work together as a team, so just picking one is very difficult.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's why it's a tough discussion. I don't want to ask you which 6 Pokemon do you want. That's not fun.
No.
Which one Pokemon?
Which one?
Which one?
So yeah, I'd go back to my Dragonite. Because that was pretty much one of the first that I wanted to have, like, a good bred copy, right? So, like, a good competitive Pokemon.
Or you can cheat and pick Kangaskhan and get 2.
Or Muck and then have him separate 1,000,000 times.
Oh, Ditto!
Dittos.
Ditto would be cool.
And then it can turn into any Pokemon. I feel
Yeah.
like that's what Sean would pick.
Yeah. But, yeah. So, I'm Warren.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Alex. This has been a double shot of awesome.
Yo.
So to summarize, Chris becomes Michonne, Warren becomes Glenn, the token Asian guy who makes runs, and Sean's a walker. He's already turned.